Right now, you guys are working on finishing up your second paper. So while you're doing that, I like to take this class to brainstorm, for the third and fourth papers, potential topics that you might want to do. Still letting people into the chat room here, into the Zoom call here. So what we're going to do then today, I'm getting ready to post a link in the chat to a Google Doc. So I'm posting the link right now. So click that and it will take you to this screen for topic brainstorming. So as you see here, I've given you a bunch of different categories for topics. So I've got overly used and cliche topics. So what are like the topics that I've seen so many times that every time I read a new one, I die a little inside, right? So you guys can probably guess some of those. Medicine, science and engineering. What are some controversial topics in sports? What are some controversies in education, politics, economics? I left some history topics on there. Debates within religion, environment. What are some controversies regarding the environments, the law, gender, and sexuality? So the way that I want you guys to think about this, rather, I don't want you to just list a topic. Okay, so don't just say global warming, for instance. What you need to do is frame it as a question that has more than one answer. So instead of global warming, you might ask the question, does human interaction cause climate change? If you frame it as a question instead of just putting a topic down, that invites multiple possibilities for a topic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign you guys into breakout rooms. So you guys can chat with each other. You can turn your mics on, chat with each other, come up with some topics. So how many categories we got? We got 3, 6, we got 12 topics, and there's 12 people in class. So I'm going to assign you to four people per breakout room. So let's see. So let me get my ducks in a row here. So Dylan, Charity, Destiny, and Hunter, I will give you the first four categories. So what are some overly cliche topics? Science, engineering, medicine, and sports. Okay. Christy, Nicole, Parker, and Reagan, I will give you guys education through religion. And Rick, Savannah, and Taylor, you can take the last topics. So environment, law, and gender and sexuality. So I'm getting ready to let me assign you to these rooms. So what will happen is you guys will go to these different, to like almost like a private Zoom. I won't be with you. Okay.
Now, really quick, so we're looking for topics that are like cliched and overused, right?
Yeah, for that first category. That's right. Okay. Yeah, so what are the ones that you've seen 100? What are the ones that I've seen 100 million times, right? You guys can probably guess some of them. So let me make sure I get this right. All right, so I'm getting ready to put you into your individual rooms. So like I said, you guys can talk and figure some out. Like I said, turn your mics on if you want. You can chat in the chat box with each other, whatever you want to do. So you can edit this document. You can type on this document together. Everybody in the class can type on this document. So let's come up with a good list over the next, so I'll give you guys about 20, 30 minutes to do this. Then we'll check back in. Then we'll kind of talk about the list and add to the list and all that good stuff. So I'm going to get ready to assign you to the rooms. So you will be put into them momentarily. You should get an invite to join the rooms. So Dylan, Parker, Christy, make sure you accept your invite. You guys have been doing it. Yeah, you guys are coming up with a good list. So let's talk about what you've come up with. So no cliche topics. You guys didn't come up with any cliche topics.
In my group, we actually came up with quite a few For education, we talked about dress code being a cliche topic.
Right.
And we also talked about bullying, but when we talked about bullying, we all kind of agreed that it was so important that it really can't be overdone.
Yeah, I wouldn't say bullying's a cliche topic. Yeah, I haven't had it happen. I've had it done before, but not a million times, right? I don't know. So go ahead.
With religion, we also talked about a couple cliche ones being criticism of Catholics, Christian versus atheists, and also religion in schools.
Right. Those are yeah. I've seen all those topics before. Again, though, I wouldn't say that those are the ones that have been done a million times, like in a class like this. What are you guys can all pitch in if you want. What are the go-tos? What are the topics that like if you Google English paper topics, what are like the first 5 that would come up? You guys can probably think of them.
How are you doing? Oh, I'm doing all right. I'm off from school because one of the
Well, so I'll type on the list. I'm not going to project the list because you guys can see it. Abortion is definitely an overly done and cliche topic. Okay, I've seen it a million. That's the one topic in this class that's off limits. Okay, I will not allow a paper on abortions. The main reason is because we talked about logos, ethos, pathos, right? Abortion is a topic where everybody's so emotionally invested in the topic. It doesn't matter if we're pro-life or pro-choice. But no amount of reason is going to change your mind. It's just a topic that pisses people off. So that's the one topic that you can't do in my class. Okay. But there's a certain as far as cliches, there's a certain substance that's always being debated about whether it should be made legal. What is it?
Marijuana.
Yeah, marijuana. Legalize or no, for medical or recreational purposes. So this is something that's been debated. This is a topic that's been done a million times. Just to show you guys who I am as a person, I once had a guy write a paper, a really terrible paper about legalization of marijuana. It was supposed to be like 6 pages. He only did like 3. But his works cited page was in green. So I decided I would pass the paper just because I thought that was funny. So that's who I am as a person. So just so you guys know, I can appreciate a good sense of humor. Okay. Well, just some other ones that I have on my list for this, then we'll move on to the others. Gun control was one that I've seen 100 million times. Of course, gun control is such a big topic. That's not a topic I would say no to, but it's such a big topic that that's probably one that you would want to focus more in depth on. So, like, what about gun control? Are you talking about assault weapons? Right? Are you talking about the need for background checks? All of those different things are its own topic within gun control. Gun control was a big, wide sweeping topic. It's too big. So you got to kind of focus it in a little bit. Okay. Taking a look at the chat. Charity, I'll get to your topics in just a sec. This is one I've seen 100 million times. Should college athletes be paid? Should college athletes be paid? I've seen this one so many times, it's made my eyes bleed. Okay, I've seen it that much. I haven't seen it that much at Southern. You know, usually when I taught at WEU, I had pretty much every student athlete I thought wanted to do that topic. Okay, so should college athletes be paid? Of course, it is a controversial issue right now. I mean, California enacted a law saying that they've had to be. Of course, they get free tuition and room and board and all that stuff as part of their athletic scholarship. So it is an interesting topic. The death penalty is one that I've seen so many times that it's insane. Okay. Euthanasia is a topic I've seen so many times that it hurts me to read more of them anymore. Okay. Of course, if you guys don't know what euthanasia is, it's physician-assisted suicide. So let's say that you're on your deathbed, right? Maybe you got cancer, you don't have long to live. Well, you can.
Didn't they start a program for that in Hawaii? I think I read something about that.
I haven't heard anything about Hawaii. I do know Oregon legalized it, right? So you can. It is illegal in Oregon. Somewhere else too. There's only a few states that do legalize it.
But even though they've legalized it, they make it to where you have to like discuss with a doctor and have, I think it's a 6-month waiting period, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very thorough. You got to get a psychologist to sign off on it in addition to the doctor. All kinds of stuff. So it's not something you can do quickly. Then the last question. You can do that one if you want, you know, but I have seen it so many times now that it's hard to surprise me with that one. I guess that's where I'm going. The drinking age, now tobacco age topic, 18 or 21. That's one I've seen a lot too over the years. Okay, of course. West Virginia has raised tobacco to 21, so you can't get either one until 21 now. So, of course, you know, the counter argument to that is, well, you can join the military at 18. Why can't I buy a beer? Right. So that's usually the counter argument for that topic. It's a legit argument, I think. So those are the ones I've seen so much that it's made my head spin. Okay. But like I said, the only one that you can't do is abortion. Because if you write about abortion, I'm going to give you an F. Okay. And just because that topic's off limits in my class. It's just not a topic that anybody can do a good job on, just because it's so, like I said, it's such an emotional topic. There's no logos. There's no logic. Okay. So science and engineering, cancer research. The thing to do with all these topics, I'm glad you guys are listing these. Yeah, but the thing to do with all these topics is always try to see if we can try to list them as a question. Right? So cancer research. Right? How can we make cancer research controversial? Well, we can. So maybe something like, should new or alternative therapies be funded for cancer research? They're doing things today like stem cell therapy, for instance, right? Some people have a moral objection to stem cell therapy, but it could possibly help with something like cancer. So you guys kind of see how I made cancer research and turned it into a question. Space research.
Have you ever had a paper discussing how Christians can hold bias towards other sects of Christianity?
Say that again.
How Christians hold bias towards other sects of Christianity.
No, I haven't ever had anybody do that, but it would be interesting, sure. It's like, this is something that because my other classes are literature. I usually teach the literature classes. Religion comes up a lot in those classes. And like, there's so many people around here that don't even know really what a Catholic is or what a Catholic thinks, right? Everybody around here is Baptist and Presbyterian and stuff like that. And so there's lots of, the need for religious education is there, right? There's I do think even in high schools and stuff that they should take a secular look at religion, right? At least show everybody what all these religions believe.
I agree. I think that if they want to teach religion in schools, it would be good to have it as an elective and have it encompass all of the main religions in the world and the culture that comes with them.
Yeah.
But it would take a very educated teacher to do that, and someone that is not going to be biased, which would be hard to find around here.
That could be a class I can do, because, but yeah, you're exactly right. Without bringing bias into it or becoming preachy about it, it would be hard to do. I think Southern does have a world religions class you can take as an elective. That might be something some of you guys look into for next semester, whenever the schedule is released. They're trying to bring back in-person classes for the spring, by the way. So maybe in the spring, you guys will actually be able to come to the building, whether you're on Logan campus or Wyoming campus or Williamson or whatever. But hopefully we'll be back, where things will be normal this spring. That's the current plan from the college anyway. So just a side note there. I would like to have a bunch of you guys in my English 102 in the spring. That would be nice. So space research, right? Maybe like a way we could phrase that is, should the American people fund NASA more? Right? NASA always keeps getting its funding cut, right? Or maybe prioritize NASA more. That might be a better way to state that. You could also do that as, should space research mostly be done by private corporations, right, instead of the government, like Elon Musk, right, Tesla. That's what they're doing. They're doing a lot of space research. They might actually make it innovate more in the next few years than the actual government. So it's his goal to have a colony on Mars in the next 30 or 40 years. So it might be something
that's crazy to think about.
It is, isn't it? It's something that was in a sci-fi novel before, but now it's quickly becoming a reality.
Oh yeah. Have you ever had anyone write or discuss how NASA took in some German scientists after World War II? Or
No.
I think it was physicists, actually.
No, I know a lot about that from history, but I haven't had anybody do a paper on it before. Right? So you could even make the argument: should they have done that? Right? Yeah, considering they had ties.
Morally, should they?
Yeah, considering they had ties to Nazi Germany and all that.
Mm-hmm. And I think, didn't they offer, like, I don't know, wasn't it a different identity to a couple of them to protect them? Or I think I could be wrong, but I feel like I've read that somewhere, like a protection program.
Yeah, they would rename them and like help them with their English so that they didn't sound German. They would do that. Yeah, it's a really interesting topic.
It's something that not many people, especially young adults today, know a lot about. You think of America as the, home of the free. We don't have hate here. We try not to have racism, but then you see that some of our biggest corporations and some of our biggest research facilities and systems have taken in people who've been involved with those things, and it just makes you think, really.
Now, what you're saying, I'm going to actually add it to the education list, high school history, right? Is high school history too biased towards a great America narrative, right? This is something that I talk about a lot in my classes, but especially American literature. But lots of times in the high schools today, right, you don't even hear about a lot of the bad stuff in our history, right? Like the Native Americans, eradication kind of gets skimmed over, slavery gets skimmed over. Even things like, have any of you guys in this class ever heard of the American-Philippine War? Have any of you guys ever even heard about that? No? Yeah, this was a really nasty war that actually happened around the 1900 or so. But America actually tried to colonize the Philippines in the early 1900s. So we even tried to be colonizers, just like England, right? And it turned into a really bloody, nasty affair. That's something that you don't hear about in high school history books because it makes America look bad, right? So
one thing that also gets me as far as American history goes is how a lot of the big patriots, people who really, really love the country and want to overlook a lot of the bad things about it, they love to say that, the boys are over there fighting for our freedom, which, don't get me wrong, I have a lot of respect for people that can join the military and sacrifice that much to actually defend us. But for the most part, for recent wars, you got to think, have they been for freedom or have they been for resources? Because as far as I've researched and I've looked into things, the big wars for freedom were the Revolutionary, the Civil, World War I, World War II, and then I think the Cold War was kind of about it. But other than that, really, just oil resources, things like that.
Yeah, I think you're right about that mostly, right? Like after World War II, have we even been in a just war, right? Or is it for all the wars after World War II just been because of resources and things like that? Vietnam especially was a fruitless war, right? Why did we even get involved in that? Right? All the respect in the world for the poor Vietnam vets, right, who suffered and went through it. But
oh yeah, it's not the soldiers' faults that their government is having them fight unjust wars.
Yeah,
they're definitely not to be blamed for that.
So yeah, you guys most of you guys went to school in Wyoming County. I know the type of history class you get in Wyoming County. It's not a good, accurate history class.
Do you know Mr. Kodak?
Yeah, I actually do. And
Oh, he's something else.
yeah, he should know. He should know better if he's like that, because we were both history majors in college at Concord, so he should know better.
6.86.
Miss Cardwell, yep, I know Miss Cardwell. I know Benny, Miss Cardwell, all the people at East. Yeah, I actually went to East. I graduated in 2006 from East. Brooke, she got married. She taught math at East for a while. I don't know what her married name is, but we went to school together. So yeah, no, I know more people at East than West Side. Miss Green, yeah, Miss Green taught at East when I was there. Does Peggy Mullins still teach at East? The history teacher, or did she retire? No, she was a great history teacher. She was really good. So, but back to the subject at hand. So, robotics. How would we frame robotics? I'm trying to brainstorm here. It is a new trend.
Something they could talk about in robotics would be the possibility of automation replacing a lot of factory workers and things like that.
Okay, yeah, good. Yeah, like self-driving cars, for instance, right? That's an interesting topic if any other interested, because that's quickly becoming a reality soon. Soon self-driving cars are going to be a thing. They're already in big cities like Pittsburgh. Yeah, maybe as well. Talking about robotics, but there's also going to be in the next 20 or 30 years, like androids and stuff are going to start to become a thing. Right? That's quickly going from science fiction to reality. Right? And that's going to cause all kinds of issues with, you know, should they have rights? Are they going to be the next slaves? Right? It's going to, all this stuff you see in movies like Blade Runner, right? It's going to actually be a reality in the next 20 or 30 years for us. Japan has got one fully working flying car. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Yeah, I knew about the self-driving cars in Pittsburgh and cities like that. Of course, that's going to bring up a lot of issues too, because that's going to cripple the taxi industry. Right? It's going to cripple. That'll kill Uber when it happens. Maybe Uber will have their own self-driving cars. Yeah, it might not kill them, but it definitely will kill the taxi industry.
And then taxi drivers, a lot of those are usually immigrants, aren't they?
Yeah.
I know that's usually a big industry that a lot of immigrants get jobs at.
Yeah, lots of people who maybe don't even have a high school education and stuff, they'll do that. Genetics, well, there's all kinds of stuff. Genetic engineering, right? This is a controversial issue. You know, should genetic engineering be allowed? Right, this is becoming a reality. So let's say in pregnancy, you learn that your child might have autism or something like that. Well, soon they'll be able to actually alter the genome before the kid's born to get rid of it. Right, so question there is, are you playing God by doing things like that? Right? Of course, it's also an issue of social class, right? If we do that, like, are only rich people, is this going to create a major difference between even more major difference between rich people and poor people?
Because goodness knows healthcare isn't going to cover something like that.
No. No, that is for sure. Geography. I don't know how we would turn geography into a controversy.
You could kind of put that with religion and ask what are some geographical mistakes in the Bible, maybe, or inaccuracy. Like, what are some geographical inaccuracies in the Bible?
Yeah, that could work. The Pangea theory, even, right, about how we were once one major continent. Where was the Garden of Eden? Right? I have a bunch more for this. I'll copy and paste some in. Well, I got to start moving through the list a little quicker, just because I don't have so much time. Global warming. Global warming caused by the human-induced emissions of gases into the atmosphere. Right. This is a controversial one. If any of you guys do that topic, you should talk to Dr. Bartlett. I know there's a lot of you have Dr. Bartlett for science. He has very strong opinions about that. So, that are contrary to what most scientists would say. So, yeah, if you do that, that would be cool. He would be a good person to talk to. And then this is one I've seen a lot over the years. Animal testing, right? Well, it is legal. Should animal testing be made illegal? Hold on one second, guys. And then I have the topic of GMOs. GMOs is science engineering topic. Genetically modified organisms, especially foods, right? There's lots of controversies about that.
You could discuss how genetically modified foods can, don't they, whenever they genetically modify foods, it causes them to not really, the seeds not to be fruitful, like you can't plant them and you can't really harvest it from things like that?
I don't know a lot about it, frankly. Yeah, but a lot of the controversies with that's like the seedy, I didn't mean to have a pun there, but seedy practices of a lot of the companies that produce the seeds, like Monsanto. Right, there's lots of controversies about that and how they're putting farmers out of business, and things like that.
And also it can be looked at as kind of being forced to remain reliable, to rely on large corporations like that for food. If they give you food that you really can't take seeds from and grow yourself, then you're kind of always going to be reliable or rely on them.
Yeah, you'll have to pay them a cut, right, as far as even your farming goes. Moving forward, medicine, opioid abuse. Yeah, that is how do we solve the opioid crisis, right? That can be a way that you could frame that as a subjective question. This is something that impacts us, to say the least, in our area. I actually, just a quick diversion, they actually showed, when I was at WVU, they actually showed that stupid movie about Oceana, that Oxyana movie. And so I was there to tell all the people there that movie was bullshit. Just said, just so you guys know. So I stuck up to the homeland. They had this whole discussion about it. I'm like, I'm fucking from there. Maybe it's bullshit. So, hate, fear of needles. Yeah. Maybe the hate, fear of needles is there because of the heroin, right? That's probably, the heroin problem would be the topic. Medication prices in the U.S., for sure, that's a topic, right? How do we lower them? How do we deal with the pharmaceutical industries? Mental health and diseases. Yeah, that is. There's lots of. That's a broad topic. That's a broad the way it's written. But you could make that more specific.
You could say.
I was going to say, for instance, like, are psychiatrists too quick to give medication? Like, maybe people just need to talk.
Side note on that, I was going to Lantern in Pineville for a couple days. I went, I think, 2 times. And the second day I went there, I got a note. It said, oh, you go here, you get some medication. And I said, yep, going somewhere else, not doing that. Yeah. 2 days. She said, yeah, you're diagnosed. I know what you need. No.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that they don't do it. They overprescribe medicine. Do doctors in general, not just psychiatrists, overprescribe medicine? Right? That's something, not just painkillers, but all kinds of stuff. Yeah, also, like alternative medicine is a good topic, right? Stuff like homeopathy and things like that. And if you guys are interested in that, I can help you with that, because that's what I did my doctorate degree project on, was that kind of thing in literature. Infections and poisons. I don't know what's controversial about that right off. If you guys want to elaborate. Well, I mean, even as far as medicine goes, like, there's all kinds of controversy about COVID, right? How is COVID spread? Should you wear your masks or not? Right? So, you guys know more than me. Most people around here think it's a fable or something, right? And they don't want to wear them, right? So, yeah, you don't want to get me started on that, because I will start ranting and raving. I try not to be a professor that rants and raves. Let's see. Organ donation. This is something that I'll add to the list here. Whoops. Organ donation. Is it ethical or no? Right. That's an interesting topic.
That can also bring into discussion, like how I believe it's Jehovah's Witnesses that don't believe in blood transfusions, and a couple others that really don't believe in any kind of modern medicine, like I knew someone once, I can't remember what kind of church they were a part of, but when they would get sick, they wouldn't take any medicine. They wouldn't go to a doctor, things like that.
Yeah, I've read lots of stuff about how like doctors just had to like forcibly intervene, especially when it involves kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, you're not making that decision for this kid, right? So that's an interesting conflict between science and religion. Sports, professional athletes should not make that much money. Yeah, should they? Should they not? Right? That's a legit topic. Right? Of course, at the same time, it's capitalism, right? So if there's a demand for that athlete, then if that's what the market dictates, that they make that much money, then great, right? So it's hard to argue that they shouldn't make that much money and be a good capitalist at the same time. I guess that's the point I'm making. Charity, you're exactly right. Wearing the mask won't stop you from getting COVID, but it does help prevent from spreading it. So you're exactly right. You're doing your fellow man a service by wearing one. Transsexual people playing in the desired sex. Yeah, this is actually something that's been coming up.
With that, I think I don't know. I think it's different as far as like someone that was biologically a male choosing to present as a female. I don't really think that's fair in the sports world. I'm not super big on sports. I used to play soccer and dance, but I feel like it leaves a bit of a disadvantage because if you have a transgender person who went from male to female going into a female sport and you have them dominating and putting new records and things like that, it kind of shows obviously that there is still a physical difference in that person. I think there should be another category altogether for it.
Yeah. Even you can even not only that, we don't even have to talk about transsexual. So we could talk about just should you be able to gender swap, right? So like should girls be allowed to play football or something, right? That could be one. I know isn't there a kicker at East who's a girl now?
I think so.
Sports players should keep their political view out of sports. Yeah, that's something that's being debated right now with kneeling and all that. It's not just in the NFL now, NBA and Major League Baseball. Something that happens there.
Though I agree with that. I do agree with that to a point. But sometimes, like, if there's a social injustice that is getting overlooked to the point of just not being noticed at all or addressed, and you have the platform to kind of bring attention to that, I would say that me personally, I would use my platform to do that. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night knowing that I had the capability to kind of shed some light on that and just bring it to attention, knowing that I didn't do it. Even if I wasn't a part of the group that was being attacked or being bothered, I would still not be comfortable just letting it go on.
Yeah, it's like Colin Kaepernick's had the black ball on him by the entire NFL ever since he started it. It's hard to argue that he wouldn't be better than a lot of these quarterbacks that are playing, right? So it just shows that there's stigma against him because he started the whole dialogue. I'm not the biggest Colin Kaepernick fan just because I'm a 49ers fan. I didn't like him when he was actually playing for us. So for sports reasons. He's given 110%. How to prevent head injuries in football. Yeah, that's a one I've had a lot over over the years. Lots of times with that topic, you can do things like all these different rule changes that have happened in football, right? Are they weakening the game? Like, do they make the game worse? So, like, like hard hits, for instance, right? A linebacker can only hit you a certain way without getting a penalty.
Now, have you ever had anyone write a paper or discuss like rugby compared to football? Because I heard the other day I was listening to a game on the radio, and the people that were talking, they were like, yeah, football's the most intense physical sport. And I was thinking to myself, I don't think they've ever seen a rugby game.
No, I haven't had anybody do anything like that. I don't know a lot about rugby, frankly.
It's kind of like football. I don't know how to describe it. It's really hardcore. There's no padding. There's no protective gear. There's no helmets. It's kind of get the ball to where you got it to be, to where you need it to be, and get it there any way you can.
I just added a couple of more from my list. What did the Washington Redskins prove by changing their name to the Washington football team? Right. That's an interesting topic.
Mom,
Hunting exotic animals for sport, is it moral or no? Right. Things like safari hunting, where these people go and hunt lions and stuff like that just for fun. It's a little bit of a different issue than hunting a deer or something, right? Because we do that for population control.
and you can also discuss with that, like just the way that people hunt, because you have to think wild animals like wolves and coyotes and things like that, they target the weaker out of the species, and humans, we go for trophy hunting, and that can weaken the whole gene pool of deer in certain areas. Because if you're taking the strongest out of the herd, then they can't pass their genes on anymore.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting too. I hadn't ever thought about that. That's interesting. Let's try to rush. We got about 20 minutes. So I'll try to bulldoze through the rest of this list. Education, general increase in bullying problems in schools. Right? And how do we solve that problem? I'm looking back at Charity's post from the chat earlier, but she said body image. Yeah, but that's something that not necessarily dealing with education. That's something a lot of like girls in their formative years have to deal with. Right, all these different perceptions about body image and whatnot. How much do magazines and TV shows and all that cause unhealthy habits? Public education's failing system for overall safety of kids. Yeah, so are they doing good with safety or are they not? Problems with standardized testing, right? That's a good topic. I mean, I can preach about that one to you too, but standardized testing is the biggest problem with K-12 education, I think. Just they're too obsessed with testing in K-12. By the time a lot of times people get to me, they're too used to taking a test rather than thinking. Let's see. Some other topics I might add to this. Yeah, I actually had a class the other day come up with a big list for education. Online versus in-person learning, right? This is something that all of you probably have an opinion on at this point, considering we've all had to do online. Teacher pay, West Virginia is 49th out of 50 states, right? Is that right? Is that just? Should they increase the pay more? Even after the recent increases, it's still abysmally low. College affordability, should the public fund education? So that topic, just a brief mention of it. Like, the more taxpayer dollars go into state institutions, the less tuition students have to pay. And one reason why tuition has been going up over the past 10, 15 years is because all these states are cutting funding to higher education. So if they do that, then that means the school has to make up the balance by raising the cost for you. All right, so I guess that if you do that topic, the question is, should the cost be mostly on the student, or should the cost be mostly on the taxpayers? It's a good, both sides have good perspectives on that one. But then we can do something like Bernie Sanders, right? He wanted to make college free for everybody, right? That's a controversial topic. Teacher accreditation, right? There's lots of problems with that right now. So, like, just to give you an example there, I have a doctorate in English, but I couldn't get hired to teach in a high school because I don't have an education degree, right? So, and that's what we mean by teacher accreditation. Funding for the arts and humanities, right? Should there be more? Standardized testing we already had. High school lunches, right? They've tried to make high school lunches healthier, but are they just wasting more food, with all the changes they've tried to make to it over the years? I'm sure all of you could pitch in on this topic because most of you just got out of high school, right? How abysmal are the high school lunches now? You guys tell me. No opinions. Hunter says they were wasted more for super small portions, Charity says. Good. Charity says there's always a lot of food left. Yeah, probably a lot wasted. Politics. Watergate's a good historical topic. Assassination of JFK and Lincoln. These seem more like history topics than current political topics. Why were we in Vietnam? Did we lose? Berlin Wall, 9/11. Lots of people like to write about 9/11 conspiracy theories. Let me say this to you guys. Conspiracy theories are usually not a good idea in a class like this, just because they're not grounded in logic most of the time. The moon landing conspiracy theory is another one. But anything they're debating about in this current election is a political topic, right? Affordable Care Act, Medicare for all, tax reform, right? Should rich people have to pay more taxes, or should the middle class and poor people pay more taxes? Should there be a flat tax, meaning everybody pays 15%, whether you're rich or poor? The military budget's an issue, right? They have an almost unlimited budget. So should they tighten their belts a little bit more? All the spending over the stimulus and stuff like that's increased their federal debt. Our crumbling American infrastructure is a topic, right? Or roads and bridges and things like that.
You could also talk about the effect that American colonialism has had on other countries, other small countries, or just colonialism in general.
Yeah, like the Philippines, for instance, like we was talking about earlier, right? Or even English colonialism, that's still being felt. So yeah, I named a few there. Most of these could probably be in the history category, though. Let me copy paste some of these in for us. Yeah, the Black Lives Matter movement, right? Tax reform, veteran benefits. There's lots of controversy over that or the lack thereof. Economics, no economics topics. Well, with economics, you can do things like taxation. You know, how does it affect things? You know, you can ask what caused this recession that we're in now, right? Was this something that was long coming, or was it the COVID just a symptom of a larger problem? How do we recover from the recession that we're in now? That would be a good economics type topic. History. I see Nicole, you must really be a history buff. I know you like these history topics. The religion, was the devil really an angel? I haven't heard that one before. I assumed everybody thought he was a fallen angel. Why is alcohol so bad if Jesus drank wine? Right? I like that. Who is worse in their actions, Adam or Eve? Yeah, that's a controversy that's old as man. It doesn't just have to be Christianity, right? There's lots of problems with other religions too that are being debated, like the treatment of women in Islam, for instance. Right? Like in Saudi Arabia, for the longest time, women weren't allowed to vote. So, or drive or anything like that. Environments, global warming, factory pollution, car pollution, right? Electric cars, is that the future? Like Tesla, for instance. Forest fires, deforestation, that's something that's happening in the West Coast right now, right? One side argues that it's climate change that's causing it, and the other side argues it's poor forest management that causes it. That would be really cool. I would dig it if one of you guys did that. Climate change, natural disasters, national parks. Like maybe should we fund the national parks more? There's even like lots of controversy over the ethics of national parks, right? Some like really hardcore environmentalists think that you shouldn't even have roads in national parks, that takes away from the grandeur of nature by making it seem commercial. How COVID has affected the environment, that's interesting. The coal industry, right? We live in coal country. Right, that's an economics topic too. That you can discuss like what caused the coal industry to take a sharp decline there for a while. Is it on the uptick again? Law, hate crimes, civil rights, animal rights, drug legalization, right? Roe versus Wade, the abortion issue, police brutality. Yeah, that's one that's hard to argue isn't a big issue right now. Immigration, law enforcement, and the conflict between law enforcement about law enforcement right now. Some people think that they should defund police entirely, right? And that I probably draw. I like to think of myself as a moderate, but I draw the line not left or right wing. I kind of draw the line there, and I think that's stupid. That's just my opinion. Gender and sexuality, transsexual people playing in the desired sex. I don't know what you mean by playing in the desired sex there, right? You could ask the question like, is gender biological or is it cultural? Right? Because that's lots of trans folks argue that it's cultural. It's not about your genitalia. It's about culture. That's what constructs your gender. Feminism, maybe things like the hashtag #MeToo movement, right? Exposing, especially like sexual harassment, things like that. Gay pride, stereotypes, the wage gap between sexes, that's good. Prostitution's an interesting topic. I've had people who do that. Should prostitution be legalized or not? Hate crimes against LGBTQ, abortion rights, women in non-traditional roles, families in non-traditional roles, right? You can even turn that topic into something like, should fathers get family leave when a new kid is born, right? Because fathers usually don't. Transsexual in the bathrooms, yeah, that's been a controversy. Genetic influences on adolescent sexual behaviors. Good. We did this for the last 2 hours. So hopefully you guys now have some ideas going through your head. Maybe there's something that we didn't list here. But over the next week, you don't have to write up anything yet, but over the next week, ponder it. Ask yourself, what is interesting enough to you that you can do the next 2 papers on in class? What's interesting enough where you would do the next 2 papers on it? So ideally pick something that you're interested in. You might not want to pick something that you're so opinionated about. You don't feel like you're going to change your mind if you read something different. So I would recommend picking something you can keep an open mind about, but maybe something you're curious about, right? Like I said, if you don't think you can accept the other side of the argument or even entertain the other side, that might not be a good topic for you. Over the next week or so, just ponder it as you finish up your papers. So just a quick reminder before we hang up, remember that the draft of paper 2 is due this weekend. So just the draft on Blackboard for the peer review. So do the peer review on Blackboard this weekend. So if you can post your papers by Friday at any point, by Monday, if you can respond to everybody else, that's cool. Take the whole weekend to do that. And like I said, the more you guys take it seriously, the more feedback you give to each other, the better the papers are going to be when they get to me. And I should have your guys' narratives back to you this week too. I'm working on them. So once I send those back, you will get a grade. Remember, you can revise the paper after you get the grade. So once you get the paper, I have had to grade them with a pen instead of a computer just because I wasn't doing too well grading on a computer all the time. It kind of drove me crazy. So I'll say this, if you guys can't read my handwriting, just let me know and I will translate it for you. And I have famously horrendous handwriting. I'm trying to be neat, but it doesn't, even when I try, it doesn't always work out that way. So, you know, make sure that if you can't read anything, make sure you let me know. I will tell you what I said. So you will get those back this week. I will assure you of that. And that should be it. So we'll see you guys next time. Take care. Charity, you said you had a question for me, so you can hang around.